Good morning, students. Today we are going to study about the microcomputer. In the last class, we discussed some basics of the buses. So, bus is nothing but a group of parallel lines, and which are used for driving the binary data. And depending on the type of the data which is going to be transferred through the buses are classified into three types. One is a address bus, next one is a data bus, another one is a control bus. So address bus is nothing but the bus which is used for driving the addresses is called as an address bus. It is a unidirectional bus. And the bus which is used for driving the data or exchanging the data between the devices is called as data bus, and which is a bidirectional bus. Okay. Another case is a control bus. So the bus which is used for driving the control signals from the microprocessor to the end devices, and driving the requesting signal from the end devices to the microprocessor are called as a control bus. Okay. So these are the basics what we have seen in the last class. So today we are going to study about the basic computer organization. So means what are the components which are there in the computer. So that we are going to see in this class. Okay. So let us go for the particular session. Okay. So here let me take the basic computer. Yeah. So what is there in the computer? First component which we are going to see in the computer, there is a basic components which are there in the computer. First one is a central processing unit. Okay. First one is a central processing unit, and the next one is a we are going to have the memory devices. So central processing unit is nothing but which includes the central processing unit is nothing but the area where it is going to be decided, or the controlling the entire computer is going to be done in the central processing unit, and inside it we are having the microprocessor, or I can say that the heart of the microcomputer is nothing but the microprocessor only. So the components which are there in the microcomputer are the RAM. Next one is a RAM, another one is a input device, another one is a output device. Okay now, so I'm just taking only the basic components which are going to be reside in our microcomputer. Okay now, so first one is a central processing unit, another one is a ROM, another one is a RAM, input device, and the output device. Central processing unit is nothing but it is a brain of the system. In simple case, if you are going to your olden days explanation, it is a brain of the system, and inside it we are having the what is that microprocessor. So microprocessor is the one which is going to be controls the entire activities of the computer. Okay now these components, whatever the components which we are seeing right over here, ROM, RAM, input and output devices. So the input output devices are sometimes called as a peripherals. They are named as a peripherals because which are connected external to the what is that microcomputer, external to the microcomputer. That's why the input and output devices are called as a wait a minute, I'm losing the cursor. Yeah, input and output devices are called as a what we say, the peripherals. We call them as a peripherals. Okay, RAM, ROM are going to be reside on the they are going to be installed on the motherboard, which are next to the microprocessor, that is a CPU. We are going to see in detail as we move on the architecture of the microprocessor, all those things. Just remember that the central processing unit, ROM, RAM, input and output devices, these components are a part of the microcomputer. Now, in order to get the functionality, or in order to design the entire computer, what we are supposed to do means we are supposed to interface, means we are supposed to connect these devices. We are supposed to connect these devices to the excuse me. We are supposed to connect these devices to the central processing unit. How we are going to connect these devices to the central processing unit means using the buses. The first bus which is going to be used is the address bus, because in order to get any functionality from any one of the device, first we should send the means the microprocessor should generate the address and place that address, and place that address on the address bus, drive that address to the corresponding devices. It is going to be drive the address to the devices using the address bus. So another case is the data bus, the another component which is going to be used for interfacing these things. The other bus is a data bus. Okay, so here we are having the address bus and the data bus. Using these two buses, we are connecting these components to the central processing unit. So now if you see this one, first of all, ROM device is connected to the address bus. Not only the ROM, every device is going to be connected to the address bus, but I am going with the ROM. First, I would like to show you that how the each and every device is going to be interfaced to the central processing unit. ROM device is connected to the address bus. ROM device is connected to the address bus, and this ROM device is going to be controlled by the control signal coming from the central processing unit. So that control signal named as a memory read operation, because ROM is a permanent memory and which is a read-only memory. ROM is a read-only memory and it is a permanent memory. So in order to control the activities of this particular ROM, we are going to use the memory read signal. Use the memory read signal, and this ROM is going to be connected to the data bus also. It is going to be connected to the data bus. Means first, when you would like to interface the ROM device, it is going ROM device to the microprocessor, that is the central processing unit, which is a CPU. In order to interface your ROM device to the CPU, why my cursor is not controlling this one? Wait a minute. Yeah, in order to control this one, what you are supposed to do means you are supposed to use the memory read control signal coming from the central processing unit. We can perform only the read-only operation. Because the data which is written inside the ROM is a BIOS. We are going to see in detail explanation. First, let us see how the components are interfaced to the CPU. Okay, now ROM device is connected to the address bus as well as the data bus, and it is going to be controlled by the control signal called as a memory read signal, which is coming from the central processing unit. Similar to that, we are going to have the RAM memory. RAM is not a permanent memory, it is a temporary memory. ROM is a permanent memory, and RAM is a temporary memory. Okay, now with respect to RAM, we can perform two kinds of operations, either read operation as well as a write operation. So as we have seen, the memory device, this particular RAM is connected to the address bus, and also it is controlled by the central processing unit using the memory read signal as well as a memory write signal. Okay, memory read signal as well as a memory write signal. And it is also when you would like to read the data or when you would like to write the data onto the RAM, that is going to be done by the data bus. So if you want, you can see the variation. So in this case, the data bus direction is only one direction, means we are simply taking out from the ROM memory. Okay, now but in this case we are having the bidirectional bus, means we can read the data from the RAM as well as we can write the data onto the RAM using the control signals, memory read and memory write signal. Means by using these signals, we are going to differentiate whether we are performing the read operation or write operation with respect to the RAM or the with respect to the RAM. Okay, the next case is a input device. So input device means it is always trying to give the information to the CPU. Okay, now so let us see how to interface the input device also. As usual, the input device is also connected to the address bus, and it is going to be controlled by the one of the control signal called as a IO read signal. Why we are using the IO read means it is a input output signal, and which is indicating the read operation. IO read is nothing but input output read operation, and this is the control signal used by the central processing unit to control the input device. So when the IO read signal generated to the input device, then it is going to be place the data on the data bus. So if you see this diagram also, once again, if you see this diagram also, so here we are having the unidirectional bus. Okay, now so means it is driving the information onto the data bus. Means it is always giving the information to the microprocessor. It is not accepting the data from the microprocessor. It is always giving the information to the microprocessor. Output device is nothing but which is always reading the data, or which is always accepting the data from the microprocessor. So best example for the input devices with respect to your practical analysis, we can simply say that our keyboard and mouse are the input devices. Okay, now keyboard and mouse are the input device. Output device is nothing but your monitor, which is used for displaying the information on the screen. That is nothing but the output device. Okay, another case is also the printers. So output devices are nothing but the your monitors, printers, all those things are the output devices which are accepting the data from the central processing unit. Some of the devices are the input as well as the output devices. So if you want to know that one, you can simply consider the nowadays what is that integrated printers, so which are acting as a scanners as well as the printers. When the printer is acting as a scanner, then it is called as an input device. When the printer is printing the information, then it is called as an output device. Okay, now let us see how exactly the output device is connected. Again, it is connected using the address bus. Okay, now, and its operation is going to be controlled by the IO write signal, means input output write operation. Okay, now input output write operation, and output device is going to be connected to the data bus using the this direction bus. Okay, now means it is always accepting the data from the it is always accepting the data from the central processing unit. Okay, so means by this diagram you can easily realize that the buses means the whatever the components which are there in the microcomputer, they are connected to the central processing unit. They are connected to the central processing unit using the address bus, data bus, as well as the control signals. Address bus, data bus, as well as the control signals. Now let us show. Let me show some data flow which is going to be some data flow which is going to be done when the microprocessor wants to execute some program. Means what I mean to say that when you are asking the microprocessor to perform some kind of operation, so at that time you are writing the program, and that program is going to be stored inside the memory. Okay, now stored inside the memory. Now when you want to execute that program, how the microprocessor is going to be execute your program which is stored inside the memory is a question. Okay, now so execution of a program by the microprocessor stored in the memory is going to be done by the following steps. One is the fetching operation, means first of all microprocessor calculates the address in from which memory location onwards your program is stored. That address is going to be taken by the microprocessor, and it is going to be performs the fetching operation, means first it reads the first instruction of your program. That operation is called as a fetching operation. First it fetches the information from the memory, decodes the information. After decoding the information, it will decide what kind of operation need to be performed. Decoding is nothing but Sima. One more thing, let me tell you one important point is, whenever you are storing your program inside the memory, that is going to be stored in the form of hexadecimal number system, in the form of hexadecimal number system. But when you would like to execute your program, or when the microprocessor wants to execute your program, that hexadecimal number system should be converted into the binary number system. The hexadecimal number system should be converted into the binary number system. Now the question comes that why we are supposed to convert the hexadecimal number system into the binary number system? Why the microprocessor wants to do that operation? Reading the opcode from the memory is called as a fetching operation. Decoding the information is nothing but converting the hexadecimal, that is the opcode which is there in the hexadecimal format, converting the opcode into the binary format, and based on the binary information which is converted, which is decoded, based on that particular binary information, the microprocessor is going to be generate the required amount of control signals. Okay, now required amount of control signals. So means this CPU is going to be, for example, I'm having the complete flowchart for that, don't worry about it. Simple cases, central processing unit wants to read the data from the means execute some program which is there in the ROM device. I'm going to take one scenario, one example, that I would like to use the central processing unit, or I would like to run a program which is there in the raw memory. I would like to run a program which is there in the raw memory. At that time, what the central processing unit will do means, it will decide, means when you are trying to run your program, obviously you are giving the starting address of your program. So when you are giving the starting address, then the central processing unit uses that particular address, places that particular address on the address bus, and generates the control signal. So the control signal for the ROM is only one, which is nothing but the memory read signal. Okay, now. So when it is placing the address on the address bus, and its task is fetching the opcode of your program which you would like to execute. Okay, now which you would like to execute. It will fetch the information from the ROM device through the data bus into the microprocessor. Fetched information is nothing but the opcode information. Opcode is in the hexadecimal number system. So that opcode is converted into the binary format inside the CPU. That conversion is called as a decoding operation. After decoding the information from the hexadecimal to the binary number system, at that time only the microprocessor will come to know that what kind of operation it need to perform, whether it is a read operation or the write operation. So based on the decoded information, the microprocessor is going to be generates any one of the control signals to perform a particular operation related to any one of the device based on the instruction which is fetched from the ROM. Okay, now based on the information which is fetched from the ROM. Okay, so that is nothing but what we said, this generating the control signals. Okay, now first fetching the output, decoding the instruction, and realizing what kind of operation need to be performed. What kind of operation need to be performed. Once it realizes, it will generate the required control signal to the corresponding devices. So that operation is called as a execution. Means if you want to execute your program, let us suppose my program is a 5 instructions are there in my program. Then in order to execute your entire program, for each instruction, it is going to be performs the fetching operation. It is going to be performs the fetching operation, decoding operation, deciding the what kind of operation need to be performed, and executing that information, executing that particular operation. Now I think in the middle of the way I dropped out as one of the important point, that nothing but hexadecimal. It is decoding the instruction. Decoding the instruction means converting the hexadecimal number system into the, that is the opcode which is there in the hexadecimal format into the binary format. Now the question is, why we are supposed to convert the information into the binary format is a question. Remember ma, whatever the electronic gadgets you are having in your hands, all those gadgets are integrated or designed using the digital electronic components. All those gadgets means your microprocessor, your scanner, your printer, everything is going to be work based on the digital electronic concept, okay. So if you go back to your digital electronics which you studied in the second semester of your what is that, first year, second semester of your first year, I think second semester, or the, I think it is the second semester only. So digital electronics means, let me take one simple example. I think all of you know the logic gates from the BSc onwards. All of you know the logic gates. Okay. Logic gates are working based on what? Logic gates are working based on the binary number system. Zeros and ones. Zeros and ones. Okay. Okay. So that's why once as they are working based on the zeros and ones, if you are trying to use the hexadecimal number system, it is not possible. So that's why the mnemonics are going to be stored in terms of the output, that is in the hexadecimal number system. In order to execute that information, the hexadecimal number system should be converted into the binary number system, which is called as a decoding operation. That is going to be done by the central processing unit. Okay. So this is the reason why we are converting the hexadecimal to the binary. Means all the electronic components are designed using the binary number system. Means zeros and ones concept only. Okay. So let me take one simple example. Let me take the whatever the scenario which we have seen, reading the data from the ROM and all those things. I'm having one explanation for this. That is a flow. Better to take. Let me take another one. Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, we are right over here. These are the components what we have seen till now. Let me take one example. Let us suppose I would like to read the data. From the ROM device. When you would like to read the data from the ROM device, not only from the ROM device, from any device, but I am taking the example for ROM device. Okay, now reading the data from the ROM memory. Okay, so first of all, when you want to read something from the memory, you are supposed to give the starting address of your uh, program, or the data. Let us suppose you are trying to read the data from the memory, or you are trying to read the program. Okay, now if it is a program reading operation, it is called as a fetching one, and if it is a what we say the data reading operation, then it is going to be the read operation. Okay, now so here central processing unit, when you would like to read the data, you are giving the starting address to the central processing unit, which is nothing but the microprocessor uses the address given by you and places that address. So look at this, the color is varying. Central processing unit is taking the address, places that particular address on the address bus. If you see this one, all the devices are receiving the addresses. All the devices are receiving the addresses. Means address is available at the input lines of at the address lines of the devices, but it is not entered into the device. It is not activated to this particular device. Means address is commonly available for all the devices. Now the question is, which device should accept this particular address inside it? That is going to be decided by the control unit. That is going to be decided by the control unit. In our example, we took the address, we took the concept called reading the data from the ROM. Okay, now in order to enable the ROM device, or in order to allow the ROM device to accept this particular address, we should generate the control signal related to the ROM device, which is nothing but the memory read. If you see this one, look at that, memory read signal is generated. There is a variation, right? So memory read signal is generated. So once the memory read signal is generated, then the ROM device is going to be accepts the address. Other devices are not accepting the address because their control signals are not enabled. Only the device which is receiving the control signal along with the address, that at that time only the corresponding device is going to be accepts the address inside it. Okay, at that time only the corresponding device is going to be accepts the address into it. Okay, so now when what is our operation? Our interest is to read the data from the raw memory. Our interest is to read the data from the raw memory. Okay, now so here when you are placing the address and generating the memory read signal, the ROM device will come to know that, yeah, it is a microprocessor wants to read the data from so and so address, wants to read the data from so and so address. Now it is a responsibility of the ROM device. Look at when the microprocessor wants to perform the read operation or write operation, don't think that the microprocessor is going to be enter into that particular device and reads the data. It is not like that. The microprocessor won't enter into the any kind of device and read or write the won't perform the read write operations. It simply generates the signals, required amount of signals, and it is the responsibility of the corresponding device to place the data from the so and so address available inside it on the databus. Look at this. In the next case, it is going to be places the data on the databus. Now it is available to whom? Available to the microprocessor. After some period of time, the microprocessor is going to be receives the data. The microprocessor is going to be receives the data. Okay, now so this is what we are having. So when the microprocessor wants to perform the read operation, first it will read or write operation. First let us take the read operation. Yeah, let me take one simple scenario. So when microprocessor wants to read the data, the steps which are going to be followed by the microprocessor to read the data, the steps which are going to be used by the data. Okay, the steps which are going to be used by the microprocessor to read the data. Okay, wait a minute. Number one. Okay, places address on the A/B means A/B means address bus. I'm simply writing the shortcut because it is going to extend the long and we are supposed to use the enter and the space is not going to be sufficient. Places the address on the address bus. First places the address on the address bus. Second step is it is going to be second step is generates the required signal. Required C/S means control signal. Generates the control signals. You please note down full-fledged one. Generates the control signal. Now, after generating the control signal by the microprocessor, it is the responsibility of the device to place the data on the data bus. Okay, now place the data on the data bus, and the device is going to be read the data. Okay, so end device place the data on data bus. Place the data on data bus. Now in the fourth step, microprocessor is going to be read the data. Simply CPU reads the data from data bus, means D/B. Let me take uniform way, D/B. These are the steps which are going to be followed by the microprocessor. These are the steps which are going to be followed by the microprocessor to perform the read operation. Let us suppose I would like to perform the write operation. So means how the microprocessor is going to be perform the write operation, or the microprocessor is going to be perform the write operation. The steps which are going to be used by the microprocessor. Okay, control Z. We have seen the read operation. Let us take the write operation as well. Okay. To write the data. Steps to write the data. Okay, steps to write the data. Okay, 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 okay. Number one, what it will do means, first again places the data on data, places the address, place the address on address bus A/B. Second step is places the address on the address bus. At the same time, it will place the data on the data bus. Now, place the data on data bus. Third step, places the address on the address bus, places the data on the data bus, and finally it is going to be generates the control signals. So CPU generates control signal, which is nothing but the write operation. So after generating the control signal, the end device is going to be receives the data from the data bus. End device is going to read the data from data. So these are the steps for to write the data on onto the memory device. First, previous one is to read the data. Now this one is to write the data. Okay. So here, if you see this one over here, first step is places my CPU calculates the address and places the address on the address bus. And at the same time, it is not the second step. If you want, you can take it as the second step, but both are going to be done in parallel. Places the address on the address bus. After some period of time, places the data on the data bus. After placing the data on the data bus, then only it is going to be generates the control signal. Okay. Now, so after that, so once it generates the control signal, the end device is going to be receives the data from the data bus into it. Okay. Now, so that is what we are having with respect to the write operation. This is what is going to happen in microprocessor case. Okay. Now, this is what is going to happen in read operation as well as the write operation. Okay. So now, so this is a basic explanation of your what is that microcomputer. Basic explanation of your microcomputer. So what we are having, once again, central processing unit and memory devices, which is a ROM, RAM, and the input and the output device. Okay. So here, when you want, we are having the memory devices as well as the input and output device. Okay. So let us suppose I would like to perform the read operation with respect to the RAM. Then obviously what we are going to do, first CPU is going to be places the address on the CPU places the address on the address bus. Okay, now because I don't have the preparation for this, first places the address on the address bus, and this device is going to be having the address, and it is going to be, we are interested to perform the read operation. It is going to be generates the read signal to the RAM. So the RAM is going to be receives the address from the address bus. Okay. So after that, it is a responsibility of the RAM memory to replace the data on the data bus. To place the data on the data bus. After some period of time, microprocessor is going to release the data from the data bus into it. This is with respect to what? With respect to the RAM device. Let us suppose I would like to perform the write operation. So we have seen the steps, right? I would like to perform the write operation. Then the steps are going to be write operation. First step should be first places the address on the address bus to the RAM, as well as places the data on the data bus to the data bus, places the data on the data bus by the CPU to the RAM. Next step, it is going to be generate the memory write signal. It is going to be generate the memory write signal to the RAM. So now the RAM is receiving the address as well as the data. So even though address and the data are available at the input lines, it is not receiving anything because it is not received any kind of control signal. Now once you place the control signal, then the RAM device is going to be release the data available on the data bus using the address. Means it is going to be released from the data bus, reads the data from the data bus and uses this particular address, places this particular data in the specified address. So that is what the write operation. Similar to that, we are having the input device to read the data from the input devices and to write the data onto the output device. The control signals for the IO devices are the input read signal, IO read signal, and IO write signal, input output write signal. Okay. So this is okay. This concept is okay for up to now. Now let us go for in detail. What is there in the ROM? Okay, we have seen that a ROM is a permanent memory, RAM is a temporary memory, and we are having the input device as well as we are having the output device. Now the question comes that what is there in the ROM? What is there in the ROM? So how that is the first question, and another question is when you are powering up your system, what is happening inside the system to start up your system and to start up your system as well as to run the system perfectly. What is happening? How the microprocessor will come to know that how to start the means from where I have to perform the operations. Okay, so in order to explain that, what I'm going to do means I'm going to use the same diagram but the other way. I'm going to use the same diagram with the other one. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some rectangular boxes. So about the buses, you just remember that we are having the bus. I'm going to take some buses. Don't worry about all these buses, all these boxes, simple cases. We are having the simple explanation. So I'm assuming this one is a CPU. Okay, CPU, and this one is a ROM device, and I'm going to assume this one is a RAM. Okay, now so here what is there in the ROM? I'm not showing all the buses. You just recollect that we have seen the all the bus connections. Now everything is going to be the same. Okay, so but in order to explain what is there in the ROM and how the system is going to be boot up, I'm just taking the ROM. Okay, so here the CPU, ROM and RAM. ROM is nothing but the permanent memory, RAM is nothing but the temporary memory. Now the question is, what is the use of the ROM in the system? What is there inside the ROM? So when you are powering up your system, you will come across some screen statements, comments like system is booting up. Okay. Now the question comes that how the microprocessor. See, if you want to perform any kind of operation, that information should be there for the microprocessor. How the microprocessor is coming to know that the system is booting up and from where it need to be booting up. That entire thing is going to be written inside the ROM. That entire thing is going to be written inside the ROM. Okay, so ROM is the one which is holding the boot up process program. ROM is the one which is holding the boot up process program. Okay, now boot up process program, and this ROM is going to be written by the manufacturer. Let us suppose I'm going to purchase the HP computer or HP laptop, Dell computer, Dell laptop, whatever it is. Depending on the manufacturer, what they will do means what are the features they would like to introduce in their systems. They are going to be integrate means how the system need to be boot up. How the system need to be boot up, they are going to be decide, and that is going to be written in terms of the program, and that is going to be burned inside the ROM during the manufacturing time. That is going to be burned inside the ROM during the manufacturing time. Okay, now so now what kind of what is that program which is there in the ROM is the question. The name of that particular program is called as a BIOS. The name of that particular program is called as a BIOS. Okay, now BIOS is nothing but basic input output system program. Basic input output system program. Now the question is what the BIOS is going to do. When you are turning on your system, initially what kind of operation the BIOS is going to be done. Inside the BIOS, we are having one program called as a POST. POST is nothing but power on self-test. POST is nothing but power on self-test. Means once you turn on your system, the BIOS is going to be runs the first command called as a POST, power on self-test. Power on self-test means whatever the components which are integrated on the CPU, inside the CPU, like ROM, RAM, and other secondary storage devices, whether all they are working properly or not. Okay, or whether all those components are working properly or not during the boot up time. That is going to be tested by the program called as a POST. That's why it is called as a power on self test. Power on self test. Okay, so that is going to be checked out by the POST. If at all the things are perfect during the boot up time, then it is going to be enables the signal. Means it is going to be says that the information is true. The operation is true. Operation is true means all the components are perfect. All the components are perfect. Now the next step, what the BIOS is going to do means, the BIOS is going to be, this BIOS is having starting address of your operating system. This BIOS is going to have the starting address of your operating system. Okay, so that starting address is nothing but, let us suppose I think if you are aware of installation process, then you will come to know this point. Installation means when you are taking the CPU, that is a computer, for the first time, you will come across some disk called as a local disk C, local disk D, local disk E, local disk F. Most of the cases our operating system is going to be installed in the local disk C. Okay, now local disk C means it is going to be installed on C drive. It is going to be installed in C drive. Okay, now so for on self test everything is going to be done, but now the ROM should come to know. Now the CPU should come to know that where exactly our operating system is residing, because ROM is a very small size now. Let me take a simple example. During the olden days, it is going to be the 10 MB, 20 MB. I'm just taking the rough value. So it is going to be the 10 MB, 20 MB. 10 MB, 20 MB means very small one. Okay, now nowadays we are having the 512 MB also. So it is going to be very small one. Okay, now. So within this particular ROM device, is it possible within this particular small amount of ROM device, is it possible to hold the operating system? The operating system sizes are around 3.9 GB nowadays. It's going to be the 3.9 GB and more than that also. Okay, now. So as the 3.9 GB is not going to be stored inside the permanent memory, what they are going to do means during the installation process, that particular one is going to be stored inside the hard disk, which is the, sorry, I'll take only the H/D, which is hard disk. Okay, hard disk. Your operating system is there in the hard disk. Now let me go back. Yeah, hard disk. Now inside the hard disk, let me redraw this hard disk a little bit bigger one. Yeah, inside the hard disk, I'm assuming that there are the partitions. I'm assuming that this hard disk is divided into 4 parts. 4 parts. 4 parts. Okay, sorry. 4 parts. I'm assuming this is the part 1, this is the part 2, this is the means C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive. Okay, C drive, E drive, E drive, F drive. So here we are having the C drive now. Assume that our OS is there in the C drive. Control Y. Our OS is there in the OS. Operating system is there in the C drive. Now, how the microprocessor will come to know that where exactly our operating system is existed, where exactly the operating system is existed. Okay. Uh, where exactly the operating system is existed. I said the BIOS is there now. It is going to be executing the post first. If everything is goes fine, then it is going to be returns the value called as a true. True means binary one. Everything is fine. So once it receives the true value, then the BIOS is going to be uses one thing called as a MBR. This particular block is going to hold the starting address of our operating system, which is going to be there inside the BIOS, which is nothing but MBR, master boot recorder. Master boot recorder. Okay, now using this particular master boot recorder, which is there in our operating system case. So master boot recorder means it is going to show us the starting address of our operating system. It is going to be shows the starting address of our operating system. Using the master boot recorder, or a copy of the starting address of our operating system used by the BIOS, it is going to be reads the information called as a MBR. It is going to be reads the information called as a MBR, and this read information using this particular MBR information, it is going to be stored inside the RAM. It is going to be stored inside the RAM. Okay, yeah, it is going to be stored inside the RAM. MBR is going to be means BIOS is going to use as the MBR, which is a master boot recorder. The master boot recorder is the one which is showing the starting address of our operating system. This using this particular MBR, a part of the code is going to be dumped into the RAM. So using this MBR, we are having inside this particular MBR, we are having one thing called as a what is that? The bootloader, or simply we call it as a bootstrap loader. We are having one thing called as a bootloader, or the boot, yeah, let me take the bootloader because it is extending, bootloader or the bootstrap loader or the boot program. So this particular bootloader is going to be there, where it is going to be there in the MBR, which is loaded into the RAM, and bootloader is going to be loaded inside the MBR. Na bootloader is loaded into the RAM space. Na it is going to be loaded into the RAM space. Na this bootloader takes the responsibility to load your operating system into the RAM space. Your operating system into the RAM space. Let me take the fresh copy. Your operating system into the RAM space. Okay, your operating system into the RAM space. Let me draw the hard. What is that? I'm taking this one only. Otherwise, I will take the previous one. Okay, sorry for this. Uh, okay, as I said, it is going to be the CPU. It is going to be the ROM. Come on, man. Let me take this one as a hard disk. h slash d. So hanging up. Okay, let me take over here. So the ROM device, I am going to use the hard disk over here. Okay, this particular ROM device, so use that one now. We are having the, let me give some time. I'm not going to use the type case. Okay, so I'm assuming that it is a CPU. It is going to be the ROM. ROM is going to be the hard disk. Hard disk. Okay, and this one is going to be the RAM. Okay, so why I'm saying this one means only one point I would like to cover. So here, as we have seen, the ROM is going to be used as the BIOS. Using the BIOS, it is going to be performs the power on self test, and power on self test returns the true value. So based on that, it is going to be used as the MBR, which is there, which is going to be referred the starting address of our operating system. Inside the MBR, so over here we are having the MBR. Inside the MBR, we are having one thing called as a bootloader. Bootloader. Okay, now. So this particular bootloader is going to take the responsibility to load your program into the RAM space. To load your program into the RAM space. Okay, now. So once it loads the program into the RAM space, what it is going to do means, I'm taking the blue color to extend the RAM space. It is going, what it is doing, it is a bootloader is loading this one, right? So whatever the OS is there, that OS is going to be dumped into RAM. That OS is going to be dumped into the RAM. Okay, now. OS is going to be dumped into the RAM. Now, where exactly the system is working? Where exactly the system is working? No? The system is working. The system is working inside the RAM. The system is working inside the RAM. Whatever the file you would like to open, that file is actually existed inside the hard disk. Na? Actually, if we are having the board, then it is very easy to explain the concept very comfortably. But as it is online, we can't do that one, right? So here means the operating system is dumped into the RAM, and once the operating system is dumped from the hard disk into the RAM, the starting address of the operating system is given to the CPU. The starting address of the operating system is given to the CPU. Once the CPU receives the starting address of your operating system, it is going to be finish the boot up process. It is going to be finish the boot up process, means it is going to be execute the operating system and initializes all the components which are existed inside the computer, Now, remember one simple statement what I would like to do means, whenever the CPU is running, if at all someone is asking you where exactly the CPU is running, see, you simply say that the CPU is running inside the RAM. It is not running inside the ROM. It is not running inside the hard disk. Hard disk is a secondary storage device to store the information. Hard disk is a secondary storage device to store the information. Okay, now ROM is the one which is holding the startup program. In simple cases, it is holding the startup program. Once the initialization and power on system is over, then nothing to do with the ROM space, nothing to do with the hard disk. Okay, now operating system is dumped into the what is that, RAM memory, and the starting address is given to the CPU. Now the CPU is working comfortably inside the RAM space, inside the RAM space. And let us suppose, you may ask me one question: what is the proof? Yeah, I think the this one is extending. Okay, let me finish off within 2 minutes. Okay, now what is the proof that, or I can say that, how you can comment that the CPU is always running inside the RAM? The CPU is always running inside the RAM. How you can say that one? You may ask me the question like that. Okay, let me tell you one simple example. I think I don't know how many of you use it for the computer for typing the document, but all of you would have used the C programming. You would have executed your C programming using the Turbo C compiler. Okay, now. So when you are typing your program, if at all of a sudden the power is goes off, before the power is turned off, if you would have not saved your program, obviously that program is not going to be existed in your C compiler. Reason is, whatever the program you are typing, that is going to be done inside the RAM. Means when you are opening the Turbo C compiler, that application, when you are opening the Turbo C compiler, that application is going to be loaded from the hard disk into the RAM space, and inside the RAM the Turbo C compiler is running. Inside the RAM, Turbo C compiler is running. Okay, now. So whatever the typing you are doing, that is going to be done inside the RAM only. When you are trying to save the file, at that time, a copy of your program is saved onto the hard disk permanently. If you would have saved the program, then a copy of this one is saved inside the hard disk. Now in this case, if the power is turned off, you are not going to lose your file, because it is already stored in the permanent memory, which is a secondary storage device, that is nothing but the hard disk. Let us suppose you opened one file and you edited that file. During the editing of the existing file which is stored inside the hard disk, if the power is goes off, your file is going to be exist, but whatever the new data which you appended to your file, that is not going to be saved. If at all you would have not saved the file. Means, based on this, I can strongly comment that whatever the program you are running, whatever the game, let us suppose you people are having the, what is that, your cell phones, all those things. Every processor, every device is working based on the processor, and every processor which is there inside every device is going to be work based on the RAM memory, not on the permanent memory. It is going to be work based on the RAM memory, not on the permanent memory. If at all you are not saving your file and power goes off, then definitely that information is going to be lost by you, because we are having the we are working in the temporary memory, which is nothing but the RAM, which is nothing but the RAM. If at all you would have saved that file in the hard disk, then no problem, you are not going to lose the data. But after saving the file, if you are extending the data in the file, and all of a sudden the power goes off, whatever they extended, that is the added information to your file, that is not going to be saved, because you have not saved the file. Means, saving the file is nothing but storing the, let us suppose you are saving one file right over here, it is nothing but recording that information in the permanent memory. Means, when you are pressing the Control S button, then a copy of that information, a copy, not the, means it is not going to write the completely and again it is loading the information to over here. It's not like that. A copy of the that file is going to be stored inside the hard disk. It is going to be stored inside the hard disk. Okay, remember that every time the CPU is working in the RAM space, not in the other devices. Okay, that's why when you are going to purchase any kind of electronic gadget, you simply focus on what is the RAM space. If you are having the more RAM, means, let us suppose I would like to open if you are having fun with oops if you are having fun, again it's gone. Okay, if you are having fun with what we do, if you are having fun with what gaming process, you used to say that the system is slow, the phone is running very slowly when I'm loading certain application, certain gaming application. The reason is how much size you are having, how big RAM size you are having, that much fast is going to be done by the CPU. Because whatever the applications you are opening, let us suppose you open the four gaming applications, at that time the RAM is going to be used. Means, the space used by the gaming application is going to be more, so obviously your RAM size is not going to be sufficient. So at that time, what you are supposed to do, you are supposed to use a big size of RAM, so that if you are keep on loading or opening the more number of applications, then you want to run your applications very fastly, then you are supposed to concentrate on the what exactly the RAM space. If more RAM space is there, then that is going to be benefit for you to execute your operations very fastly. to execute your operation very fast, because whatever the application, remember ma, whatever the application you are trying to run, whatever the application you are trying to run, that application is going to be there in the first of all it should be dumped from the hard disk into the RAM space. I'll show you the practical scenario later. So I think the class is extended very far, so I'll turn off for today's class. Okay, so whatever the bias, all those things which we have seen, it is not required for you in the exam point of view, but it is only for realizing the concept. You simply say that if at all any person is asking you where exactly your CPU or your computer is working, it is always working inside the RAM. It is not working in the other devices. Whatever the operations you would like to perform with respect to the other devices, it should be done by the RAM only. It should be done by the RAM only. So okay, so that's all for now. We'll continue in the next class. Okay. Yeah, one more thing is, if you are having any doubts regarding this, you can ask me in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so that we are going to clarify your doubts. Okay, thank you for now.